wanna play rough? Daddy can play rough!
Okay, well, here we go. Just gonna do it.
I guess we can go by aliases, right?
We don't have to. I'm the one known as Ghost in the Machine. My actual name is Spencer, which is probably a little bit more normal. You can introduce yourself. This is Michael. Michael
the Geek.
So I guess we're officially gonna go with Ghosts and Geeks after that one. Okay, so I have prepared the questions that I have wanted to ask for you and how you prepared this. So what criteria did you use to pick your albums?
So this one was kind of tricky because initially, I'll make eye contact.
That's right, boy.
Sometimes it's hard because with albums, there'll be days where I'll be feeling a certain artist and then kind of the other day feeling another artist. So it's very hard to subjectively.
So you're not doing this based on loyalty over years, huh?
Well, this is about albums, not artists.
Okay. All right. That's true. I've got a couple on here that are 100% like, I probably haven't listened to them in a very long time, but I liked one specific album. So what did you actually end up doing? Because I know we were talking about you were trying to actually like count the songs and stuff for how many you liked per album.
Yeah, so my criteria was basically I would go through, so if I had a particular artist in mind, I'd go through their discography, and then with each album, I go through each song, and if a song is something I consider not skippable, then I count it towards its score. Otherwise, if a song is like kind of a pass, then I just disregard it.
Okay, well, I didn't do it as mathematically. I am not a physician like you. So I just did mine on ones that have really nice childhood memories or probably influenced me as an artist in doing what I do online and everything. So you'll probably be able to guess a lot of the ones that are in my top 10. So I figured we could make this more interesting and try and see how many we can guess of each other's. So I guess there should be some clarification. I have known Michael the Geek here for about 20 years. So we met at a sweet soccer practice as children. We were very talented. The Stallions, I believe, is the name of the team. So okay. So let's see. What was I talking about? Okay, so I mean, I guess to start off, what I would definitely notate as most likely going to show up for both of us the most is To the Hate of the Internet, new metal is like the thing. So I have no shame. I love it. So I guess the first one, I guess we can just guess like 2 or 3. So this doesn't get too super long and complicated. So I definitely feel like Life is Peachy. Don't say it yet. But I totally feel, I'm pretty sure Life is Peachy will be up there for you because you've had a poster in your room for, I don't know, like 15 years. Let's just do 3 guesses because I feel like 10 is going to be too many to like really count and track. So I'm going to go with Life is Peachy for you. Ooh, probably, I don't know. I should have put more thought into this. LD50 by Mudvayne. And maybe The Sickness by Disturbed. I'm going to go with those 3 for you. So you can go ahead and pick what you think I picked.
So I can neither confirm nor deny any of those, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so for your 3 guesses, I think this one's kind of a no-brainer is Linkin Park. Hyper Theory.
I guess I could have chose that for you too. That would have been fine.
Well. Yeah, but that's one. Another one is Metallica. Now, I'm not the craziest Metallica fan, so I feel like the only album that really comes to mind is Kill 'Em All. Is that one of them?
That's the first one. That's
yeah, I feel like that's a safe guess.
Okay.
And then a third one. Ooh.
Oh Jesus! I missed so many that I should have like absolutely known right off the bat. But
third one, I'm gonna say I don't know if this is allowed, but Disturbed, Down with the Sickness.
Okay. The Sickness is actually I think that's just the album title.
Oh,
right?
The
Just
Sickness.
Yeah. And then Down with the Sickness is the song. Okay. Well, I guess I'll go first on revealing my first pick for. I'm gonna go. We can go start from the bottom. So like your least favorite, or your least favorite, or your top 10.
I was thinking the same thing too.
Okay. So my number 10 pick is going to be "End of Silence" by Red, which is kind of funny because, I mean, I do love the album, and it definitely influenced me. If you've heard my music, for sure, like I use a lot of violins and cellos and everything like that in it, and they're probably the only other band that I've heard that uses it in a similar way. Because Linkin Park kind of does, but it's not. It's a lot. It's not really meant to be as like as acoustic or as natural as the way that Red uses it. And so they definitely influenced me a big. That album in particular, I would listen on the way to wrestling practice in high school at like 8 a.m. So that was, I enjoyed the crap out of it. But we do know of the fiasco that we had with them at the concert. So
I believe there was no we in that situation.
the fiasco I had. So when we went to the last time we went to see Red, actually, I've seen him a couple of times now. I don't know. Have you seen him more than once or just that one time?
I don't think I've ever seen them.
Okay, so actually, they were the first album or the first concert I ever went to was, I mean, get this because you don't get that now, but like it was Red, Seether, and Diecast. So it was a pretty sick lineup for my first concert. But first concert was great. Second time around, we were there, and we're always like in the pit or at the edge of the pit, so we're able to go whenever we're feeling it. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I do remember that there was that big fat guy and his girlfriend standing in the middle of the pit, and I was like kind of like just trying to keep everybody on like the edges so nobody was like, they weren't running into anybody, which is fine. You know, like it's normal pit etiquette. You're okay. Like you got to expect if you're standing next to it to like have to push people away. But he was holding his girlfriend in the air with her legs out, and she was just kicking people. That's right? Like that's what I'm not remembering that incorrectly.
Once again, I was not there.
You weren't there?
I was not there. No.
Oh, I swear to God, I thought you were there.
No, you've told me this story before, but I've never seen Red in concert.
Okay, so I'm mistaken. But,
I was there in memory.
Just in spirit. So okay, well, anyway, then it was actually funny. My mother. My 52-year-old mother is a big fan of Red, so I took her, and so this dude was holding this girl like a fucking like a machine gun, and she's just sitting out there kicking people, and was taking her around the pit
or like a battering ram.
Exactly, yeah. And so this like young dude and girl, they're probably like both like 20 years old, kicked my mother, like just like full on kicked her. So I kind of went after the dude. And I just like ran at him like you would in the pit, but like probably a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, you don't kick 52-year-old mothers.
It's not. No, it's a big no. But so I shoved him out of the pit. But as I was shoving him out of the pit, defending my mother, which is I guess kind of weird for the first podcast I'm talking about, like I'm hanging with my mom at the Red concert.
Are you guys still here?
So anyway, so I pushed him out of the pit, and I guess the guitarist from Red thought that we were fighting, which I guess it wasn't like a fight. It was just like a pit thing, like where people get mad, but like it's normally not that big of a deal. So they fucking stopped the show. And he points at me and he goes, "If you want to fight somebody, you can fight me. I'll come down there right now. Knock it off." And then everybody around me was kind of like screaming at him because they knew everybody was annoyed by these people in the middle, like really pissed off by this dude just carrying his girl around like a battering ram. And so anyway, they were screaming back at him, but it was really awkward, and it killed my fandom for Red. Although it had already kind of died because after their second album, I think it's Innocence and Instinct or Instinct and Innocence, they're not that good anymore because I know their lineup changed and they don't have their guitar, like their original guitarist, I think left, and or their drummer, like something like that.
Yeah, I consider them to be one of those bands where I like their singles, but as the album as a whole, I don't really care for a lot of their stuff. I like their style, but I always like bands that do that kind of balance between like melody and aggression. I feel like one song's like too melodic throughout the whole thing. It kind of loses my interest a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of have that same like or Linkin Park syndrome where the first two were really good and then it kind of changed up after that. And like their second to last one is like electronic. It is terrible. It was really bad. So, but anyway, that was my number 10. So your turn.
All right. So as mentioned before, my criteria was based on how many what I consider to be good quality.
Don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed by your picks.
I'm coming at this very technical,
clinically.
So I guess geek would be very appropriate.
Dispassionately.
I have no nostalgia here.
Sociopathic.
So my number 10 is actually something more modern and newer. And this might surprise you. Well, don't make that noise yet, because for a 10, I picked 12-Foot Ninja Outlier.
Yes, I'm so proud of that one. That's fantastic.
So it's one of the bands where the first album didn't really hook me, but the second one did, and I'm a total fan of their style now. And they're very we could kind of consider them kind of like new age new metal.
Definitely, 100%. You've been a busy little beaver.
Plus, I love their sense of humor in the videos that they have.
Yeah, the one for One Hand Killing is not only one of the funniest music videos, but actually really cool when they're doing like the strobe breakdown and everything with the music.
Yeah.
That's super. I definitely agree with you there. Although there's not going to be much of like a nostalgic attachment to that one because it's newer, but I totally agree. It's a really, really good album. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a consistent style in my top 10 list, but it's not going to be all set in the 90s.
Yeah, well, the new one's good. Like the last one they released, that one with like the red cover on it. I can't remember what it's called. But
no, that was my pick.
Outlier. Oh, okay. I think they is One Hand Killing technically on that one too?
Yes. Okay. I think before it was just a single, and then it was actually part of that the newest album.
They're fantastic. I totally agree with that one. There's a couple, actually, I'll just list them out right now because there's a couple I wanted to put on there, like a couple bands I wanted to put on there so bad.
Oh, you're thinking of honorable mentions?
Yeah. So there's two specifically because their live shows are so good, but I just I got into them later, and so I don't have the same emotional attachment to it.
Oh, yeah.
So the first band for sure is Hatebreed. Because the first time we saw Hatebreed, I was so jacked up. That was the most fun mosh pit I've ever been in. It was like I was in a very happy place. That was definitely one of the most intense concerts we've been, or at least I've been to, in my opinion. And then I would probably, other than that, any album from Mudvayne. I actually, unfortunately, to your dismay, I didn't have any particular album from them in my top 10, only because when I was kind of looking at them like you, like looking at the song counts, it was just they were really good, and I liked like 95% of the songs on the album, but like to make my top 10, I had to pretty much like every song. So there's a couple that they let off. Like, if I had to pick an album from them, it's probably like maybe Lost and Found. LD50 is so good. I feel like LD50 for me is a little bit more imbalanced because there's some songs I think are like amazing.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. That's why I kind of made this criteria, is because even though some albums will have songs that I consider to be my favorite of theirs, it's just that it doesn't make an album if there's like, two really great songs on there. So,
well, here's the other one you're going to be ashamed of me for not putting in my top 10, and it's only because, like, again, it's like the song count thing. Even though I'm really just following my heart on these. The other one, I feel like I'm betraying an old friend by putting them in an honorable mention and not top 10. Save Your Sorrow by Mushroom Head would be an honorable mention for me.
I can just say right now, Mushroom Head did not make my list. I think that as a band to go see live, they put on a great performance. They're really amazing. But in terms of like their songs, I mean, I think it's fair to say that their quality isn't the highest in terms of production. Would you agree with that?
Well, they actually, I mean, they got really, especially with like Save Your Sorrow. I think that's why I like it so much. Is like when I first heard that, even it was before I started really doing music or recording music, and it really stuck out to me. It still sounds good to this day, but like definitely they have some songs where I'm not as into. So
yeah, I definitely like Save Your Sorrow. It's just I feel like their earlier stuff is kind of too rough in quality, and then.
Yeah, Bwomp is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, I like it, but it's not, like, one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, and plus, I think with their later stuff, I don't know if they're even on a record. I could be mistaken about that.
They've released a couple some stuff in the last few years, so they're still making music.
Yeah,
sure.
But I don't know if they have a record or if it's just kind of self-produced type of stuff.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're on a label. I'm pretty sure they're on a label, but, I mean... And then I will just go ahead and put it right now. Like Slipknot, like I actually really like Iowa, and I like Volume 2 or 3. I can't remember what it is. The one with Duality and Pulse of the Maggots, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think each album doesn't go by volume, right?
No. The first one's Iowa, I think, right?
I believe so.
I'm not the biggest Slipknot fan in the world, so I'm sure I'm pissing a lot of people off right now.
We are not maggots.
Like we've seen them live. It just wasn't. I was not blown away by their live performance at all. Like I mean, I feel like I've watched some videos of them playing live back in the '90s at like Ozfest and stuff like that, and it's like it looks sick. Like so maybe if like they had the energy still, I'd still be that into it. But as it stands now, not really.
Yeah, well, energy and also the type of venue they play at, because I think if we saw them at a smaller local type place, it would definitely feel more intense.
Sure, yeah.
Instead of when you're at
the Rose Garden.
at a Coliseum, and it just seems kind of over the top in a way.
Yeah.
Because then they kind of focus on the like I remember the drummer was on this platform that would just kind of rotate in space, and the band members were all spread out on the stage, which felt kind of weird and isolated. Like they weren't. I like stuff that feels more closer and like an intimate experience.
You like to smell it. It's hard to get away from that when we're over at the Roseland in a smaller place, but
there's always that one guy that has his shirt off.
Yeah, always. So do you have anybody you'd put as an honorable mention?
I don't want to quite spoil that.
Okay, all right. I'll go right into my next pick then.
I will say that one band did not make my list, and it's going to shock you, but only because this is taking in consideration albums. If I was going by artist, they would definitely be there.
If it's Korn, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my fucking mind if you don't put Korn on there. So, okay. Because that's the only one I can think of where you'd be like, I don't even know what to say to you. I don't know what to say to you. So, okay, this got a little bit weird because I know this isn't in here. Okay, so number 9 I have is going to be Sehnsucht or Sehnsucht by Rammstein, or however they would like you to say it. That's their first one with, or maybe technically the second one. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not really like super worried about whether it's their first or second because there's one little known EP before it.
I'm really horrible with remembering titles, but I'm a visual person. I think their first album had like a flower, and they were like all shirtless in front of it.
No, that sounds great, but no. That's the first, or at least the one that I've seen for Sehnsucht is like the dude's face. It looks like it's like his head's cut off or like really pale, and he's got like the wiring around his mouth.
I believe that's the second.
Okay, well, Sehnsucht is dead in the second album. Mystery solved. But that's the one that has Du Hast and Son and too many good ones.
Yeah, I'll say Rammstein didn't make the list for me. I did consider them. When I was going through their discography, I think there was only 2 albums that I can say I consistently like. It was Rosenrot and
Really?
Rise. I think Rise.
That's Sehnsucht? Really?
Really. I think I found a lot of the songs on it kind of forgettable and repetitive.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah, it has Du Hast, but that's just one song, and I was looking at the album as a whole. So
Book Dish. I love that one too. So okay, well, that's surprising. Okay, so what was your number 9 then? I should have talked down like that.
So my number 9 is also a newer one, and you're familiar with them, but I don't know if you've listened to the album. It's Dark Complex, Point Oblivion. So the artist
That is on your top 10 of all time. And Rammstein is not.
Well, Dark Complex had 9 songs I like, and most Rammstein's fell into like the 5 or 6 range.
Wow. You really are a fucking physician. Like, you have no loyalty to our childhood. This is hurting my soul. Okay. Well, and it's like you can't even share a nice childhood story because it's only been around for a couple years. And we're both 29, so
most of these bands I within the last month I would revisit, and it's just I don't know. A lot of the stuff doesn't quite, I guess, have that same effect on me like it used to.
Oh, you're one of those people, huh? New metal sucks. Fuck you. It doesn't suck. It's awesome. I don't care. And it's just this is gonna get progressively more new metal, and more people are gonna be like, ugh, the higher I go up. So, the next one for me, then going up from there, is gonna be Papa Roach. But it's not going to be Infest, which was the first album that had Last Resort on it. It's actually Getting Away with Murder, specifically because when I was playing baseball in high school, I'd have to go to tournaments, and they were usually like an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. So I just have some really like fond memories of listening to Getting Away with Murder on these big long trips over and over. And the songs are great. Like, actually, when I go through it, it's a little softer and a little bit less new metal angsty than Infest. But I really like the album and the songwriting on it. So that's the one I went with, which I feel like was the oddball. Like, I don't think you'd ever guess that was.
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up and listening to Papa Roach with you, but I never would have guessed it would have. But your criteria is specifically childhood memories.
Childhood memories. That's how I pick the songs and albums I like. Yeah, I mean, people can't tell enough. I have a channel like based around Linkin Park. So, okay. So, what was your next one then?
Okay, so this is the one I didn't want to spoil, and I guess we can get a little into the conversation about it. But so my number 8, the artist is Love and Death, and the album is Between Here and Lost.
Hell yeah!
But
yes,
this album is basically taking Korn's place on the list.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Because I have... what the fuck are you talking about? You have a Life is Peachy poster in your room. It's been there for decades.
I like the artwork.
Oh, my God. This is a portrayal of all that I have known.
No, but if we were
Who are you?
If we were gonna make a list of artists, Korn would be on there because in sheer volume of songs I do like, they have a lot. But it's just a lot of their albums fell into that 6-track range. Like at least half of it I would like, and most of it I just kind of would skip. It's not that they have a lot of bad songs. It's just a lot of songs that are kind of passable.
I have no idea what's going to be on your list anymore. Okay. So I'm going to move past that. It's a great album. It's a great album. Love and Death is awesome.
I think we can say that when Brian had left the band, Korn wasn't the same,
definitely.
Right?
They suck. They suck balls without him. Like, they're
so
terrible.
I think to have, Love and Death on this list shows, Korn's in spirit.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite part about them. Jonathan Davis over time has been like not aged well, in my opinion. Like his singing doesn't like, I don't need it. I don't need it that bad. Okay, so then next up for me was I'm making a change on the fly. It was here's the one I know it's been memed to death, so I don't care. I still love it as an album. It's Fallen by Evanescence, actually. That's another one where I have a ton of like memories from like athletics and baseball and all that, where just like it's like I remember what year would it have been? I think it'd be like 2005 or 2004. and Matrix Reloaded had come out, and like every day on the way to my games, I would go to Chevron and get like this Matrix Reloaded Gatorade that was like this unique flavor they made. It was so good. I loved it. It was green, and then it had like Neo in his like his Matrix stuff, and like I think maybe Trinity too, like on the front. Like
this podcast is brought to you by Gatorade.
Powerade, dude. It was Powerade.
Oh, the cheap knockoff.
But so I would do that, and I would put it in my bag, and I always made sure I had 2 Matrix Gatorades before my game. But like for whatever reason, like at the same time, I'd have my headphones in back when CD players and headphones were cool, and I just listened to that album on repeat. So and she's got a great voice. Like I learned later that I guess she was kind of not the easiest person to work with, and so that's why their guitarist left after the first album, which is why they dropped off, in my opinion.
Was he the guy that did the backup vocals?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he started doing his own stuff, which is I definitely prefer to their new stuff. So, but anyway, that's mine.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, I think that was the one where nobody would really know that was like near and dear to me. So I guess now it's you.
Okay, so maybe I should have thrown this detail in there earlier, but the previous bands I listed, so 12 Foot Ninja had 8 tracks I liked, and the last 2 had 9.
No one cares, you sociopath. You don't listen to music from your heart. You just count the songs you like.
So at number 7 with 9 tracks,
just gonna keep going down this road,
is Deftones Around the Fur.
Oh, that's a good one.
This one was actually tough because I had several Deftone albums that tied with each other, so I had to pick one that just really resonated with me in terms of those hit singles that they had.
Whoops. I feel like a lot of people would go for White Pony because that's like the cool one to say. You know what I mean? I was like, oh yeah, White Pony is great. Deftones are awesome. Ooh, let me get my vape. Let me vape. But personally, no. Like I definitely like Around the Fur better. Even for the title track, actually, that intro drum beat is so sick on that song specifically. So I totally agree with that one. And of course, Shove It is classic.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to get over. I actually put part of Shove It in a remix I did of Post Malone's I Fall Apart. Like halfway through the song, I put the Shove It riff in, or My Own Summer riff in there.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that. However, did not make my top 10.
Deftones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned it before. I don't know if you share the opinion like you did in the past, but you said you considered them very kind of the start of emo. I remember you saying
they're
that.
not like that. Yeah, maybe I said that. It sounds like me. They're not emo, but they're like so melancholy that like it actually tends to depress me. You know, like Change is like a great song, but like some of the other songs I just don't find that intriguing.
Yeah, I would agree that that artist does kind of have that quality to his voice and his style of singing, but they never really come off whiny to me though.
No, not whiny.
Yeah.
I would never say they're whiny. And actually like Koi no Yokan, like I actually really like that as an album. Tempest is a sick song. So.
Yeah, that album was actually my second runner up.
Yeah. If I was basing this on who's held up the best over the years, 100% Deftones. 100%.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think out of their whole discography, their very, very first album, I didn't care so much because they were still developing their style.
Yeah.
And the only other album I didn't like was probably their very newest one. I don't know if you ever got around to listening to it.
I have, I think.
It's the one after the Koi no
Yokan.
Koi no Yokan.
I'm sure I'm saying it wrong.
Some Japanese sounding one.
Yeah, I think it's Japanese. But all right, okay. So this is where it heats up for me. These are all they meant a lot to me growing up. So for the fifth one, for my fifth rank one, would be. Oh yeah, I gotta go. Oh no. So I'm actually gonna go Significant Other by Limp Bizkit for that one. It was tough because I actually really like Hot Dog Flavored Water too. I just don't care that the lyrics are retarded. Like it doesn't bother me.
Well, I think we both came to this conclusion before. They're a band that likes to have fun, and I don't think if you recognize that,
Yeah, they're just joking around. Like,
yeah, they're very self-aware of themselves.
yeah, well, Fred Durst is a dick, like for sure, and he's a douche, and he's just like his lyrics are terrible. But Wes Borland is so good as a guitarist, and I feel like he gets a little bit of credit for how creative he is. But I actually really like John Otto as a drummer. I feel like, it's like he goes with more simple beats, but like in My Generation at the beginning of that with like it's so good. It's so good. It gets me like I feel like he really made a big portion of the band. So yeah, I would definitely go with that. And I actually listened to that a lot with Skylar growing up, funnily enough too.
Oh, I would never pick Skylar, the type of person to listen to that stuff.
His dad actually listened to it. So Skylar is my other best friend who listens to exclusively rap and hip hop. But his dad likes metal and that type of stuff. So when we were young, actually, he was into like Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit for a little bit.
Well, yeah, because it has elements of rap in it. So
yeah. So okay, next one for you.
So at number 6 is Demon Hunter: Summer of Darkness.
I'm very, very surprised. I mean, like I like Demon Hunter, but I'm surprised to hear their name.
That whole album had 10 tracks on there that I really liked.
Summer of Darkness that's not the one with Collapse on it, is it?
I believe not. That one was actually really unique because they had several songs that had other guest vocalists that would come on and sing along with them. Okay.
I'm surprised, to say the least.
Wait, and I'm surprised that you're surprised because Demon Hunter was actually a band that you introduced me to.
Yeah, actually, no. Well, I'm not surprised. They're a good band. I'm not saying that. I just I haven't listened to them in a while. So my phone just died, so I'm winging the rest. How many are we on? How many have left?
We have 5 more.
5 more? No, we can't. We had like 3 or 4.
I just gave my number 6.
I think I've been talking too much. So, I'm gonna go with what I remember. I know. Oh, okay. I know 4. So the next one up there for me was her Satellite by POD. That had Youth of the Nation, Alive, Boom. That was just like I remember that was like I think that was the first time where I heard like the album opens up with Set It Off, where there's like a pretty heavy scream when he's screaming "Rise," like so. That was kind of like one of the bands that kind of bridged me into heavier stuff. Like Avenged Sevenfold eventually became the band that got me into more like real heavy screaming with like Unholy Confessions, or Chapter 4. I don't even remember which is the name of the album, but POD was I loved very much. And I'm originally from San Diego. They're from San Diego, so that's
so
good.
You gotta represent.
Yeah, so that'd be them.
So I guess I'll give my number 5 and number 4
Go for
bands.
it. Yes,
all right,
please.
So we'll start with 5 is Mudvayne, Lost and Found. So yes, Mudvayne did make the list. And I specifically picked Lost and Found just because overall,
I like it better too.
As an album, it's just solid. I know a lot of people might consider it to be the more like commercially successful album, but
Happy's a great song.
Well, yeah, I just think every like LD50 just it had its songs, but like a lot of it felt very kind of like experimental, kind of
not as well put together.
Yeah, not really structured to be like songs.
Yeah, well, yeah, I could see some of that. I mean, like Gains and Death Blooms and Dig are good, but like,
those are like those 3, and then the rest is kind of forgettable, at least in my opinion.
Well, you're just trashing on these people. Everything's forgettable, huh? Okay, so go for your next one.
Okay, this one is kind of a surprise just because this band only had 1 album, but it's one that always kind of sticks in memory. Is Motograder. It's a self-titled one.
Yeah, well, yeah, we saw Motograder live. So Motograder is actually Five Finger Death Punch before Ivan Moody.
Started but when we saw them, Ivan Moody had already left. Yeah, so they had a replacement singer. But I really do like him as a singer. Back when he was a Motograder, I'm just not really into the style of Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, I definitely prefer Motograder as well.
Yeah.
So that's not a super surprise. So my next one, I cheated because I couldn't pick. So I'll pick an album if you make me. But I specifically picked this one because this was actually the first album I listened to from them. So it was Korn Greatest Hits Volume 1, which
I did not know that was an option.
I made it one. But it was specifically because that's the CD I had. You know, like I didn't start to get all of their actual albums until after I heard that and started listening to it. So most of like the memories I have listening to them are from specifically Greatest Hits Volume 1. But if I had to pick an album, probably Life is Peachy. Just because it was like after Life is Peachy, everything started to get a little bit more like clean and like well put together, and like I preferred the rawness that you hear on that particular album. So
I think speaking of Korn albums, I think if I had to pick one, it would be it was tough. It was very much a tie between Issues and Untouchables. Actually,
really? That's actually surprising. Is it Untouchables has Thoughtless on it, right? Or am I flip-flopping that?
I believe, yes, Thoughtless. I'm pretty sure. I'm
really
horrible with remembering song titles to which albums.
Yeah, it's a good album though. Actually, you know what's funny with Korn? Actually, there's one album that I really like from them that I don't think most Korn fans would like appreciate. See You on the Other Side.
Yeah, they were trying something very different.
Well, that was right after Head left.
Yeah, but I preferred that just because they at least had a very kind of different, but still
anything but Korn 3. Remember who you are. That was so. No thanks. Or Oildale or whatever was the single off that.
Or
so
I know this will make you laugh, but Pop a Pill.
Pop a Pill. Oh my God! I remember how much we laughed about that when that first came out.
Yeah, it's just everything after that point became very kind of derivative of themselves, and they just didn't. At least
feels like they're trying too hard.
Yeah, but at least See on the Other Side had like its own unique style.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, or even if they had, they had so many highs though. Like the Queen of the Dam style they did for a while, that was so good. Back in the old days.
That definitely is my most favorite movie soundtrack for sure.
Yeah. So I think I flip-flopped. Technically, Korn would go above this one or this next one, so I just want to remember that after you.
So Korn's at number 2 then?
No. I've fucked up my list somewhere along the way here. So I know I didn't say The Sickness by Disturbed, but it's in that like top 3 or 4. Wherever we're at. I can't see anymore because my phone died, but The Sickness is definitely in the top. I mean, every song is fucking awesome.
I believe number 4 was POD, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well, so 4 was POD, 3 is Korn. Well, I'm sliding The Sickness in there.
I hope you guys enjoy our first podcast.
It's going in regardless. Right after, or actually, you know what? I'll go right after Greatest Hits because that album, if Disturbed had stayed like that, like actually like a new metal band, they'd be one of my favorite bands of all time without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I really do enjoy their first 2 albums, but
I'm dropping plates on your ass.
But I like him as a vocalist. It's just every time I hear his stuff, it's one of those bands where I can't listen to him for too long. Otherwise, I feel like he takes himself way too seriously too. Like when he was doing the whole like power stance and raise at the concert, like raising his hand and get your money's worth, Portland. I was not into that. Yeah, I think when sometimes it's hard to really separate the artist from the band. So if you have like a really negative experience at a concert, then it kind of ruins the music for you when you go back to it.
But The Sickness, for sure, every time I hear it, it's really good. Stupefy is so good. The Sickness is good. Or Down with the Sickness is obviously everybody's favorite. Dropping Plates, though, is like a low-key one of my favorite songs off the album.
Did we ever figure out what that meant?
I have no idea what dropping plates on your ass means, but I don't know if I'm naive or if it's just something they made up. So,
well, I guess that's just part of the charm of new metal is that you just make up lyrics.
You never know. Okay, so what are you gonna go with next?
So at number 3, Rest in Peace, is Static X, Shadow Zone.
Shadow Zone. I thought you would go with Wisconsin Death Trip.
Nope. It was Shadow Zone followed by I believe Start a War, and then it would have been Wisconsin Death Trip.
Oh, okay. Start a War is actually probably, if I was looking like track by track, probably my favorite from them.
Yeah, that one's very much a close second. But I just picked it off based off certain songs that I really liked and enjoyed.
And we did get to see them live too, so that was cool. Like,
yeah, before he unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, we was technically Wayne X at that point, like not Pig Hammer. It was like actually like a Static X concert, but like with just Wayne, you know. But they were playing Static X stuff, but it definitely wasn't Pig Hammer. So
yeah, I think you told me this, but he pretty much wrote everything in the band anyway. So
like that's what they were saying. I read an article on it a while back where they were saying that like he was getting pissy with the rest of the guys because he was doing most of the writing anyway. And so he was like not wanting to share the credit. I honestly kind of get a little bit just because I write, like if I make a song, I have to make every single part. So Michael does not, he's not in the band. He doesn't help me make anything. But I've tried to get him to.
I make art.
No music though. No music. Okay, so yeah, you know, actually Wisconsin Death Trip is probably like another one I have to cheat and slide in there anyway.
Or just maybe as an honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable mention, or like maybe it's just it was a good album and they were awesome. So, okay, how many do we have left? 2?
I have 2 left. I'm not sure about you.
Okay, well I'll just say I have 2 left. So, this is the one where I feel like you're gonna have to debate. Do you think I put Linkin Park at number 1 or Metallica at number 1?
I'm gonna say Linkin Park just because that's all I hear from you these days.
To the surprise of none of our 29,000 subscribers, yes, I actually put Linkin Park at number 1 with Hybrid Theory, but I would also put Meteora up there just as easily. No problem. Those are the best albums of all time, in my opinion. Nothing even touches them, but at number 2, so my runner-up was the Black Album by Metallica. Although I could have just as easily put Injustice for All up there, just because like I have so many memories of like Halloween when we were like 15, 16, and like, you know, going, and I remember my first date was with Katie, and I think one of the first ones we went on was like going to the Scream at the Beach. And I remember trying to pump myself up so I wasn't nervous, so I was listening to Injustice for All like the whole way there. But the Black Album, I heard that, like, and the first time I heard that, I was like, I had like listened to Linkin Park and Justified, who's probably like a real small band that nobody would know, but I'd heard them before, and I liked rock, but I also liked hip hop just as much. And if I mean, I know we're doing top 10 metal albums, but like Wu-Tang Clan, 36 Chambers would be up there for me too, if I was allowed to do any other genre.
Well, I didn't know we were doing metal. I thought it was just top 10 albums.
I was sticking to metal because I felt like for you it would 100% be top 10 metal or metal albums, but I like some hip hop stuff. So
well, yeah, I mean, for me it's kind of like metal and like industrial metal.
Yeah,
but I mean, if I had to throw in honorable mention that wasn't metal, it would definitely be 9 Inch Nails.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I know you're not a fan of Trent Reznor's vocals, but
they grew on me. Actually, they really grew on me after, I don't know if it's the most recent album anymore. When we went to see him, the one that came out around that time, the one with Came Back Haunted.
Yeah, I don't remember the title of the album, but it's the second most recent, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Came Back Haunted I actually really like as a song. That's a really good one. So, well, I've completed mine. So let's hear. So I guess give me your flip too, so I can guess between your favorite and your runner-up.
Okay, so the top 2, one is American Head Charge.
I haven't listened to them in a long time, and we've seen them.
Yeah, the War of Art.
I feel like we have seen everybody at this, or everybody who's new metal we've seen.
Yeah, for the most part. And then the other one is Spine Shank, Self-Destructive Pattern.
I can't believe, I mean, like, it's cool. I like both of those bands. I'm really surprised that those are like your top 2.
Well, like these are the bands that are kind of my go-to. So if I don't have access to my library to see the hundreds of artists that I listen to, and I just have to pick off memory, these are my go-to ones.
Okay, I'm going all in real quick, easy. I know it. I got to be right. I am right. your favorite is American Head Charge.
That is correct.
I knew it. I knew it because it's just like I feel like that's the only one you might have some kind of youthful attachment to. Because I don't know if you remember this, but I read, like right when we found War of Art and started listening to him in the first place, I remember we were going like to pool halls and stuff all the time and just playing for fun and like and actually turning on Disturbed while we were playing, like listening to The Sickness. I would play Stupefy over and over and over. So. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Spine Shake is sick too, though. I was listening to them the other day. So
yeah, I mean, Spine Shake only really has 2 albums, really. I mean, they had a third one that came out later, but it wasn't really the quality of production didn't sound that great. But yeah, that one album just always resonated with me.
It's fantastic. We did it. We went the whole way through. Without too many problems. It only took us it took me like a half an hour to like get this running at all. So, well, that's the end of the first one. Any last thoughts or honorable mentions that you didn't touch on?
I believe I got everything I needed.
I'm sure I'll think of like 50 more after we're done.
Well, yeah. This list is just of the moment. I'm sure if I actually put like another month into it,
you're a fair weather fan. Just say no. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. So I mean, Linkin Park would always be the top for me. Linkin Park and Metallica. Everything up to Black Album was really special in my eyes. So, but all right. Well, I think we got it.
Yeah. Cue outro music now.
Yeah. This is Ghosts and Geeks. We're out.